Welcome back. To know more about the election, we have Ponje, who has been following the elections closely. He now joins us on set for some analysis on the Kenyan presidential elections. Good to have you on board, Paul.
Nice to be here, Nadine.
Great. Tell us, what is the atmosphere right now in Kenya?
It's currently a bittersweet moment in Kenya for two reasons. One, because on the one side of the aisle, there is William Ruto and his camp who have won the presidential elections as per Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC president. And on the other side, there's Raila Odinga and the other opposition candidates who, unfortunately, did not emerge victorious. And so there has been a flurry of unrests in parts of Kenya. In Kisumu, we've seen mass unrest, and in other areas. But then, on the other side, we've seen William Ruto and his supporters in pomp, pageantry, and fireworks. So it's been a mix of those two feelings. But then there are fears that the unrest is going to grow even deeper. We've seen the United Nations Security and Safety Department urging its staff to be cautious, especially as some roads have been blocked due to unrest in certain parts of the country, Nadine.
Great. We'll get back to you. First, let's listen to this excerpt from William Ruto.
I know that there were predictions that I won't get to the ballot. There were predictions that we won't get here. But because there is a God in heaven, we are here. And I want to, in a very special way, say and confess that without God, we wouldn't have been here. My gratitude also goes to the people of Kenya, the millions who listened to us, the millions who participated in our campaigns peacefully, the millions who turned up to vote for us on 9th of August, and the millions who have waited patiently until this announcement has been made. Specifically, I want to thank my fellow countrymen and women because we have raised the bar.
That was Kenya's new president, William Ruto. Now let's get back to you, Paul. What was Ruto's first statement to the press?
Right, he did speak to the press as president-elect, and that's been a quite moving moment in Kenya. He has said that as president-elect, he has already drawn up a couple of executive orders which he will execute in the coming days. And of course, he has called on the opposition of Kenya to take their place, essentially citing Raila Odinga, who is the country's leading opposition figure, saying he expects him to continue to be the firebrand opposition figure he has always been, because a country without a stiff opposition cannot really stand.
That's interesting. And now let's find out what exactly has the reaction of the opposition leaders been.
Indeed, it has been quite extraordinary, hasn't it? Because we've seen Raila Odinga, yet, as the information we have now, has not yet publicly made a statement or officially. But then his running mate, that's Martha Karua, said this on Twitter. She says, "It's not over till it's over." And that's quite telling of the fact that something might be going on, because remember, as we saw in Valerie Monano's report, there is one camp of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission led by the vice president or vice chairwoman, saying that those elections, they distanced themselves because they were under pressure, given that 6 days after the polls, they were under pressure to release them, but they distanced themselves. And that could play a little bit with the credibility and the legitimacy of those polls. So when Karwa says it's not over until it's over, there's some message behind that.
Now, do you see any possible violence in the future?
Well, we've already begun seeing prospects, or we've seen unrests in areas like Kisumu, and we've also seen some in parts of the capital, Nairobi. But then, as to whether it will escalate into conflict, tensions, confrontation between different ethnic groups, it remains to be seen. We did know how that played out in 2007 when the elections were contested. We had over 1,200 people who were dead, over 600,000 people displaced because of political tensions. In 2017, again, we did see Raila Odinga, after the contentious presidential elections, he actually rose up with his supporters, and we saw protests and all of that. Now, it remains to be seen if there will be any of that, but I can't say for sure, but we've been seeing unrest this far.
Okay, now the reaction from some of the opposition leaders, what are they like?
Right, like Mata Karua, I just said, is saying that it remains to be seen, that it's not over until it's over, which is telling of, I think you want to ask what the way forward is, which brings me to this. The way forward now, after the opposition has cried out, those who are chagrined by the decision, who are not in accordance with the results, have 7 days after the declaration of the results to file an official petition at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court in itself has 14 days to judge and adjudicate the case. Remember in 2017, we did see for the first time in Africa, legitimate presidential elections, or might I not call them legitimate, but presidential elections were overturned and they had to be taken for a second time. Back then, Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC chairman, acknowledged that there were irregularities. It remains to be seen if that will be the case this time around.
How have other African leaders taken this news of Ruto being the new president?
Right, so some people have already begun celebrating and, of course, congratulating the president-elect. The president of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, wrote a statement on Twitter congratulating William Ruto on his victory. I think I can get a quote. He said, "Congratulations to William Ruto on his election as the next president of Kenya. I have no doubt he will serve his country, his people, and our continent with distinction." We also have the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, who has put up a statement saying, "My congratulations, William Ruto, on your election as President of the Republic of Kenya. I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors ahead, and we look forward to working closely with you on common bilateral and regional interests."
Wow, that's amazing. Now, we cannot let you go without you telling us a bit more about William Ruto. So give us some history.
William Ruto is a man, he's 55 years old, and he came from very humble backgrounds. He rose, when he was going to school, up until 15 years old, he was going to school barefoot. Wow. He wore no shoes, and that's how he has portrayed himself, as someone he calls now a hustler. He is known to have sold chickens and, of course, groundnuts on the streets of Rift Valley. He puts himself in a humble position. But then in 1992, he sparked off his political career, and then under the mentorship of then-President Daniel Arap Moi, he became a staunch political personality in Kenya. He was Member of Parliament, Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Higher Education. But then in 2013, he had a big leap in his political career, and he was the Deputy President. He was the deputy of current outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta. But then it's unfortunate that their relations soured, and they had a rift. And up until now, President Uhuru Kenyatta did not back his deputy for these elections. He sided with his longtime rival, Raila Odinga. And here we have it, 2022. We have William Ruto as president-elect of Kenya.
Well, thank you very much, Ponje.
Pleasure.
Have a good evening.
You too.